So VEVOR offered to send me a 140 amp welder, which you've already seen me test their 200 amp welders, so there was really no point in that. And that's why I said send me something else. We got a whole pile of rod for our hangers that we usually do with the bandsaw and bolt cutting, and I thought, you know, one of the things they were willing to send me was a rebar cutter. And I had thought before about cutting those with rebar cutter, but I didn't really want to gamble to see if it made sense or not. So for a free one, we'll try it. And it's definitely going to be a good workout because we will have a little over 2,400 cuts that we make. And actually came with a sheet metal box. They list this one at 208, which surprised me that it was that inexpensive. There's another one. This is a 900 watt 5/8 rebar cutter. They have another one listed, which is supposed to be the 1,000 watt version. Looks like it's got a little heavier motor on the 1,000 watt version. It does look different in the picture. This has got a little bit of weight to it. Anyway, we've got 2,400 plus a little bit cuts that we need to make. This came with a spare set of blades. We already bought 3 more sets of blades on our own so that we would have them in case the blades start dulling out. Because that's something, even if that's a carrying case, I guess if you use a styrofoam, it's fitted. But if not, then it's not really fitted. And we'll have to figure out how to do a stop of some sort here. I don't know what we'll do. We'll use the handle at first, I guess. Probably clamp it down to the table. So it's fairly flat that way. Maybe clamp it to the table, put something off the table. Also at the same time, which this is how they sucker you. If you're on there as one of their partners or what is it? Influencer. Anyway, they tell you about this. Well, I had to look through and see what I might want. So while I'm looking at this, I found some lifting chains. These I bought, you know? It's like, yeah. I just thought these would go okay in here for picking stuff up like the rod. And because we got the crane, and extra lifty things are always good. And these were only $50 for this set with 4 hooks. And I bought 2 of them. And there it is. Yep, and a main ring. I already have one similar hook that we use for lifting now, but on it we don't have slip hooks on the end. We do have grab hooks just like these. And we have grab hooks on the end. I don't know. That's seemed like it'd be kind of neat. We'll probably use that for lifting up our rod when we figure out how we're going to set this up for actual production. But let's start out. There is a user manual. It's kind of curious if this had, it has an oiler with it, if it had somewhere that we're supposed to oil it, or if we're just supposed to fill it, as in the blades. Pretty much nowhere I've been around did we ever oil blades on a shear, but it just makes sense to me that if you did oil it a little, they're going to last longer, and this is a lot of cuts. I don't know. I mean, we did production shearing in a lot of places, and it was just dry metal on metal. Oh, that's instructions for the chain. Okay, no instructions for this. It came with an oil bottle. Okay, we don't know what it's for. Came with an oil bottle. Okay. And that would probably be where you fill it if it doesn't have enough oil to work. I imagine it's got enough to start with. We will find out. And I pulled out a Howie's knife today instead of having to have Bert go get me one. Nice. I don't keep them in my pocket. I used to keep pocket knives all the time, and I carry too many other things anymore. I know a lot of my friends are continual having all of the cool Leathermans and whatever, and I've tried that. It's just too many things in my pocket. And my friends have Leathermans, so hey. Okay. That seemed like a lot longer than 3 seconds, but time me.
Okay. It's actually about 3 seconds, yeah.
Okay, that's what they call it. I don't see it coming to a full overlap with the blade. Huh.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, let's see how well she works.
Definitely a gap.
I don't like the end on this. That's okay. Okay, so obviously we need our little balancer bolt out here further because it needs to be holding it so it is squarish when it's actually through cutting it off so it isn't whipping around a lot. Okay, I can go this way a whole long ways. We are looking for tape measure. We will definitely want to set up a stop, otherwise there's no speed increase value in this. Part of the whole thing is we have the time of cutting, which 3 seconds, even though it seemed like a lot looking at it here, figures out quicker than what we usually cut these in. Yep. Definitely need to get this set up.
Yes.
But we'll cut one first anyway. Okay, there we go. Should work. Yeah. Not quite as pretty as I was hoping for. Probably plenty good for rebar. It's going to be, you know how our bender dies, we go in there?
Yeah.
And now they're not going to complain. That's as good as what the first sample pieces we had. We just have to leave a little more clearance. It'll work. All of it.
I didn't want the paint to get scratched.
I guess not. Well, some of us are not as concerned about the paint on lifting devices. Now, they do say that on your lifting hooks, you are never supposed to repaint them, because that's part of how you tell whether or not they've been abused and beat up. You're never supposed to repaint, like your hook there.
Okay.
Not supposed to repaint it. You're supposed to, one of the things they tell you to do though, while they're telling you not to beat everything up, is they say to put a center punch mark in here and here when they're new.
Okay.
Measure across it, record that measurement, and that's one of the things you can check to see if it's been overloaded on the point. Because just because you're supposed to lift down here doesn't mean you did. If somebody lifted here, you start bending the point and then it's a compromised hook.
Okay.
But we don't do that, and I'm not worried about it because we wouldn't do something that stupid.
Oh, I might.
Shh. Shh. We wouldn't do something that stupid.
Sorry, that was my college education speaking.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. When going to high speed, don't stand in front of the load and near the forklift. That will be our first set. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You probably. Oh, for our general, let's cut the end off of this. Make it nicer. Okay. Uh-oh, you just hammered that and moved it. So I was thinking about welding it a little bit ago. Yeah, you moved it out a 1/4 inch.
Oh, yeah, that's not good.
So, moves that easy. Let's grab a welder and just weld across that. Now we can still bend it. You still want to try and touch it and not try and hammer it. It still could bend. Okay, so now, blow off with our trusty nozzle. I would say the blade still looks good, so let's do another 10.
Another 10?
Yeah, show the blade, both sides. Two cutting edges will be right there and here. What you'll see when it starts getting dull, it'll have a discoloration down this side here.
Because it generates more heat? Is that because it generates more heat?
I got the earplugs in.
Is that because it generates more heat?
No, that's just because it wears out. So the rod goes past it, it wears it down, and then you'll see a spot where the color changes where it's worn away.
Okay.
And you can take a cutter like this that's basically a good cutter, and you continue cutting once the blades are dull, you will ruin it. It'll bend or break the frame. I don't care how good of a brand it is, it will ruin it. So we stop every so many and see how we're doing.
How's the heat on the machine feel?
What's that?
How's the heat feel?
Oh, it's warm. Don't have a heat gun on it, but it's not, I would say the hydraulic head is 80 degrees, and the main body here, which is plastic insulated, is probably 75.
Okay.
It's not hot. So we got 10 there?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. We want to look at the blade again. I don't see anything bad. Huh? Yeah. Let me learn. That was that, okay? So, we got to move our box out of the way, get another box, because we're going to reset for the 17.5-inch. Blades still look okay. So which weld do I want to cut? Probably the one on the table. These ones can have a bad end. It won't really matter on these ones because it's just a single bend. You can always pick a good end to put in the bender.
Yeah.
blades don't look bad to me. Maybe it's my eyes. This frame, I can see the frame flexing a little bit, that it was not doing it first. There's a little, you want to unplug it? I do believe in safety. It just isn't always seen by others. Doesn't really look bad, but the frame is flexing a little bit more. I think we grab an air hose. Let's go ahead and change those just to be sure. I don't want to break it. So we need her back plugged. Might have been flexing that much all along, and I just had to get me tired enough to look at it. We're going to have to do some real investigation and testing on these. We got a pump system in here that's putting out hydraulic oil. We could change the size of piston we decide to put on that. We could do all kinds of fun. We need to take a pressure gauge and see how much pressure we got. Yes, hearing protection required machine. It did warm up a little bit again. I think I was just being overly cautious at first. 151 degrees.
Okay.
Yeah. 152. Yellow motor at 100, but that's insulated, so the motor's probably hotter underneath there, 110. And I think that's sort of where it runs. I think I was just being overly cautious. I think we could have just kept going with the first blades with their small amount of dullness that didn't look that bad. But I didn't want to try and hurt it, so we gave it a little more help there, and it, yeah, did a lot of cutting. We still got a few more that we need to cut. The supplier we buy our hot rolled round from was, how many was he short? It was supposed to be 17 that we were short. We were supposed to have 17 more to do for this batch. But all total, we did 62 times 9. Yeah, that would make sense, yeah. Anyway, and another 129 at 13 each. So that's how many we just did. And then a few other end cuts. And yeah, I think in all reality, I think I'm going to buy for myself. And initially I was thinking that I wanted them to give me the 1-inch one, because I was like, give me the 1-inch one, you know, which is $459. And that wouldn't have worked as good because it's got a slower cycle time too. The 1,000 watt one is claiming a 2-second cycle one, and I think I'm going to buy one of those, and then we'll see a little bit more how it works too. It had a little nicer handle that was upright, and I might decide to buy a different one too instead of the 5/8, but the 5/8 is good, and this is what we're doing. Part of my thought is if I go with a bigger one, there will be less flex in the frame for what we're doing, as far as for doing thousands and thousands of these, because I'm looking at it long term. Since this is proven to be able to do this many, I might go with a slightly heavier one. My eventual idea is to have, I don't want to go longer than these boxes we're putting them in, but maybe 3 or 4 of them and set them up with a foot switch so that we go and it cuts them all at once. So it's, you know, and set up a little bit better skid into it. And instead of like pushing them in, it would be a man would grab it and pull it to the end where the stop was. And then it would lay in all of them. We'll see. First thing would be to try one of the other versions of the shear and see if I think that it is a better version for us before I would design to mount multiples of them. This is not a real mountable unit, but at the same time, looking at that, if we take this area here where the two bolt together, I could turn that and make a clamp so that all of them would clamp in right there. And if they move a little bit, this is not a high precision needing to be exact, but that could still give us a good, we could make a clamp there, and it could actually go to where it just had another clamp below that went on a piece of channel or something, so that we could then slide it along and clamp it down where we wanted it. So it was, you know, if they could change what they want on these, you know, to make one that's a rigid mount. They changed before we made the first ones. They wanted longer rods before we ever made the first ones of these. We'd turned in the bid, and then they said they wanted different size hooks before we ever actually made them. So we need to be a little bit variable on what we can do in this. So, but yeah, I was pleased. I was pleased with it. We will have the link for this exact one, and this is VEVOR Amazon. So if you have Prime, I don't know, it might have free shipping for everybody. I honestly don't know on these because everything comes up on my Prime. I know that on the Prime it's free shipping on these, even to Alaska, which is why I personally had been buying the VEVOR stuff that I have bought. I've used on Amazon instead of on the store. And anyway, this will have the link for the Amazon way.